Welcome to Creatives Grab Coffee, a podcast where we talk about the business of video production. Well, let's all kind of jump right back into it. Welcome everybody to Creatives Grab Coffee once more, and we welcome back Chris from SVG. The man is back.
My goodness,
Chris is a friend of the show,
guys. Good to be here. I wish we could have celebrated over the holidays. That party, that was a tough one to call off, but I'm certain we're gonna get it in like June or something.
Yeah, I remember that day you were just like the email you sent off. It was almost like I could tell how defeated you felt sending that email out. Is like, no, we can't be canceling it. Why? But we have to just in case. Like I felt the pain, man. I felt it.
Yeah, like it was, because that was like 2 years in a row that we've had to call it off. And yeah, it was tough because, nobody had like called me or emailed me to cancel. Like everybody was pretty stoked about it.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you got to do the responsible thing as a business owner. So it was, and, don't worry, we'll get it in, fellas.
Oh, for sure. Hey, that Zoom call we did in the evening, though, that was hella fun. And we all surprised you too. You were like, oh no, something's happening.
And my wife, she went down to like go get her computer from the basement, popped up. I probably already had a few drinks at that point. So, because I was feeling pretty low, not to see everybody. But no, that was a great surprise. And it's nice to see you guys on that. So appreciate it.
Yeah, it was nice to be invited. We kind of weren't expecting, but hey, it was pretty nice.
Yeah.
We got to do at least something together in person, hopefully soon, when the weather is a little less snowy like it is right now.
Mm-hmm. We will, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I was actually going to segue into like what you've been up to since we last spoke to you, because we spoke back in end of 2020 or something like that, right? It's been like a full year. Lots happened on our end. Like we were talking about it on our first episode back about how we started focusing a lot on our marketing, our advertising, our SEO. And as a result of that, we started getting a lot more consistent work. And that was really, really nice. So this year we're just doubling down on that. Like we were saying before, we just, we spent, after we did the show in 2020, we kind of got a good idea of how to lay the foundations for a business. So then 2021 was just, bricklaying that foundation,
And you know what, man, like it never stops. Like as entrepreneurs, you kind of you're always building like a new skill set each year. So, you figure out search marketing, and then it's SEO, and then maybe it's social or content. Then it's like, digging into your accounting, like knowing where all the money's going and what's bringing you an ROI and what's not. And so, you just build that skill, just like same as a filmmaker, right? You get a little bit better at maybe sort of every task on set. And so, you just get a little bit more knowledgeable each year, which that's how you grow a business.
Yeah, like I remember we mentioned before that like in 2020, because we had all that time of no work, we got the chance to really reflect on the business. And then after, meeting and talking with so many different people, we started to realize where there were gaps in the business. And that's what we kind of focused on over the last year. And wouldn't you know it, 2021, our most successful year to date, which kind of shocked us, but yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And I do think there's going to be more and more demand for good quality content, but I saw you guys kind of, I wouldn't say pivot, but like reposition again, that you're experts solving problems. Video is what you do, but problems, you're there to solve problems, right? Business problems. So kudos to you on that. That's once I figured that inside out a few years ago, things have, really been different.
It just clicks, right? Like, and like you said, like it's been like such a crazy shift in the year. You've gotten even a lot busier than when we last spoke as well.
Yeah.
And it's like every time I talk to you on the phone, you're saying, oh, we were just getting back from Mexico. We're just getting back from this place. This guy's gone international now too.
Yeah. We were in Mexico like 10 days ago. We're in Vegas next week. We're in Arizona shortly after that.
That's amazing.
Like, it's good. I will say though, traveling, especially like above board, right? So we carnet all our gear.
Yeah.
So Mexico was really interesting. It was down in Cabo, but it was a pretty like high gloss, like lifestyle sort of piece of content, a lot of it. And so we were hoping to just bring a few crew down, rent most of our gear down there, and hire some local crew. And after doing the deepest search imaginable, there wasn't really any qualified crew down there. They were all on a Netflix show that was shooting in Cabo called F-Boy Island. So there was no gear, there was no crew. So we had to fly in everything. And so like lights, stands, extension cords, like you name it. So that was
that's so stressful, you know. And the funny thing is, I remember early on when we first started doing video, we didn't know too much about like the rules and like what we needed to do if we needed to like travel for
we just knew we couldn't do it for sure the way we were doing it.
Well, at the beginning we were still we still didn't realize that whether we could or
no, we knew it was wrong. We're like, let's just try to get away with it.
Yeah,
but this was early on though. This was like 7-8 years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like my first many years were done that way as well. Just sort of going I'd say we declare business, but we wouldn't, claim our, we wouldn't carnet our gear. Again, it was like DSLRs and stuff like that back then. So
it's just crazy to know, like you really realize how much stuff you need when you start to travel somewhere, where it's like, usually when you're going to a shoot here that is locally, you kind of throw everything in the car and then you just bring everything with you. And then once you need to go to a shoot, it's like, okay, do I need to bring this? Because if I have to bring this and this, I have to then get an extra bag or two to bring it over. But the funny thing is, though, early on, we used to use this very terrible suitcase to travel with all of our gear. And this was like, when we were maybe 1 or 2 years into shooting. And we went to Houston for a shoot. And a funny thing happened when we arrived at the airport. Dario, at one point while we were waiting for the luggage, he points over to luggage in the corner, saying like, "Oh, look at that poor guy over there. He has that suitcase busted wide open, and it was in a cardboard box." I was like, "Look at that poor guy. I feel so bad for him," because it was on the conveyor belt, right? And Kyrill's not laughing. He's just staring at it, and he just slowly starts walking towards it. It's just open with all the tripods and light stands and everything in there, with like a TSA form that says like this has been inspected for further because it wasn't even that. Like the zipper had just ripped open. The zipper just busted wide open. But ever since that, we realized how stressful it is to go about like traveling for projects and things like that. So like whenever possible, we try to like bring on board like remote or local crews. Otherwise,
for sure, travel's a lot more difficult, especially to like adding the expenses of like having to get all of our COVID tests to come back. Like we had that was.
What about the quarantining? Did you have to quarantine or anything like that, or
didn't need to quarantine? When we got back, they were doing like random tests at Pearson, and so there was 5 of us, and we all got randomly selected. So I guess technically we had to stay at home until we got our negative result, which I think it took like 3 days. It was pretty quick, but
3 days. Wow, that actually seems kind of long, to be honest. From what unless it depends on the test that you guys took, but
it was I believe it was a PCR test. So we had to show a negative test to get on the plane in Mexico to come back to Toronto, and then we got randomly selected at Pearson to double down.
That's why that's just such a stressful thing, especially now. So like I think we had like maybe one inquiry about us going over to the States for just like 1 or 2 days, and then we were just like, no, the amount of
it's not worth it.
The amount of like pain and effort that it would take to kind of do that, it's like, no, if you guys want, let's find like some remote crews, and then let's just kind of work with them direct them through Zoom or something.
That's the easiest solution. I mean, we could have gone there, but it's like it's gonna cost a lot more, so I don't know if you want to do it.
And you honestly can't even really charge the client for all of the time you're going to spend in prep and your travel days, and it makes it like prohibitively expensive for them, and then you're not delivering the value
Yeah.
that they like, and it's it leaves nobody feeling great.
Have you done a lot or a few shoots where you've hired remote crews and you've just directed like remotely?
Yeah, we did a big project last year where we had remote crews in like 5 or 6 different US cities. Most of them it was collecting B-roll, but when it's like interview stuff, usually we'll direct that via Zoom. It helps the client feel more comfortable knowing that, you know, because we know their brand and their key messages and things like that, and then hire a local crew to execute that. So
yeah, that sounds similar to what we were gonna be doing. How did you go about like hiring the crews? Like, did you go like just find like a freelancer and then see if they knew other people that could help out, or did you go and hire like a production company down there?
we've done it both ways. We've hired sort of small production companies and some freelancers, and it just depends on like what the case was. But we find that if it's B-roll, finding a great DP is usually, like, every major US city has a lot of them, and you know, make sure we just check their references and that their work looks good and that the stuff on their portfolio is actually their work, because, you know, you never know when you look at somebody's reel. Sometimes you have to ask, saying, okay, did you shoot this? Did you cut it? Did you color it? Like, what was your role in this, right? So just asking all those questions up front. But yeah, it's worked out. And in fact, we're working on something where we're gonna have to hire some European crews to like repeat an exact like frame that we're shooting in Toronto next week. So we've got a little bit of time to solve that problem, but that'll be interesting.
It's funny, like sometimes it almost seems like if you're trying to exactly replicate something like detail for detail, but like in another country for someone else to do, is much harder than just to kind of give them general direction to deliver something that's still high quality, but even though it's a little different. But it's like, no, it has to be exactly the same. The light has to be right at that angle with this softbox, with this
at 58%, and it's we're going with daylight today, and it is a lot more. So we're gonna really like document, you know, do a setup of our lighting grid. What does it look like? What's the intensity? Of course, they're going to have to adjust on the fly overseas. But if you hire good people, they're going to make it look good.
Of course,
That's the hardest part, though, just being able to find the right people for it. I feel like it's tricky enough when it's in your own hometown, but then abroad, it's like, whew, you got to put a little bit of faith in that, eh?
You have to put faith, and it's like a full-time job find that talent, especially with like time differences and getting on, you know, getting everybody on board. But good problems to have, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny though, with like when it comes to finding talent, as you mentioned, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell, you know, like what level of quality of work they might have, because like we've done the same, where we've looked for different kinds of like shooters, editors, and everything, and it's really hard to kind of get a good sense of their work. I found that the best way is just, you know, like, you know, see who you can find as like the best possible option, and then you learn as you do more projects with them. You know, you never can really tell 100% what someone will deliver for you unless you actually start to work with them. That's what I've learned, at least, or seen, because it changes, it varies drastically. There have been times where we've worked with DPs where like their portfolio looked amazing, and then we put them on like a very simple corporate shoot, and the work that they delivered for us it just wasn't up to par compared to what they had on their portfolio. So
I think it's because sometimes we expected them to kind of do the role that we do, because when we're on set, we're shooting, we're also directing and producing it. Versus like if someone's just strictly a DP, you can't really expect them to have the vision for the project, right? Because they're not in the whole process from beginning to end, right?
There's definitely variables like that. But that's why direction is very key, and you have to really communicate. And that's another thing we've learned, you know, working with talent, is that keeping communication like constantly and thoroughly with them, just to make sure that, you know, everything is done exactly to the vision, right?
And if they're dealing with clients on your behalf as well, like that's something you really need to think through is like client management, client relationships over there. It's always best if that client has some sort of, boots on the ground, some sort of liaison that can help you, because the last thing you want to do is send somebody who can shoot a great frame, but maybe
they don't know how to talk,
doesn't have the social or personal skills to maybe, deal with like a C-suite executive.
The one good thing about liaisons is that they can let you know sometimes what you can and can't shoot on at these locations. And that's like the biggest thing, because there have been times where like we've gone on and it's like we filmed stuff, and then luckily we had liaisons who said, oh, that looks great, but can you try to avoid that thing that's on the wall, because we can't show that in the video. It's like, okay, thank you for letting us know. Now we can just reframe and readjust.
That's why you always need at least a producer. A producer and DP is like the smallest you could ever make a video team, right?
Absolutely.
Very bare bones, and that's that's the most bare bones you could really get.
Yeah, we'll do our barest bones will be like a 3-person. It'll be like a DP, a producer, and like a PA who can also do a bit of swing, or maybe run a bit of sound, carry lots of gear, stuff like that.
So Chris, in the year since you've been on this show, tell us a bit about what you've been up to.
Well, similar to you guys, last year was our busiest year yet as well. I feel like we never had a moment to even breathe, really. It was a lot of bigger projects that came with really short timelines. So it was like lots of scrambling, and it felt like it was constant fire drills, but we managed to pull it off. We grew our team. We're 5 full-time now.
Hey.
So it's been great. And you guys, I know you guys have met Rachel, who is our producer, and we have 2 full-time editors. And we did hire like a senior account manager now, which has really helped us get things going very aggressively this year so far. Just having somebody that can reach out to new leads and maintain client relationships when we're on set. Like we were on set the last 2 days, for example, and everything is still getting done in the background, which it was a bit of a risk to hire that position, but I knew we had to, because we were being too slow on getting proposals back, and we just which was a huge problem, because sometimes first one to respond wins the project. Not always, but sometimes. And the one we shot yesterday, we got the lead when we were down in Mexico, and had it been a year ago, it would have taken us a week, 2 weeks to get that proposal done, and instead it was done in 2 days, and so we ended up winning the project.
Nice.
We shot it yesterday, or 2 days, or the last 2 days.
Yeah, and I think the more and more you do these types of proposals and briefs, it usually might take like a week or 2, but once you have also someone who's dedicated to it, and you guys have churned out as many as you have, it becomes a lot easier and easier. I feel like every time Dario and I go through a brief or a proposal, just every single one, it's better and better than the last. And it's just that process of going through to the point where, like you said, it can be done in 1 or 2 days if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and if you ask the right questions up front, and again, exactly your point, like those proposals, they're really templated. You're just sort of swapping specific information, but your general stuff all stays the same. And so, I think proposals are really good to kind of they shouldn't be a surprise. When a client gets your proposal, it shouldn't be a surprise. It should basically be just a sort of rehashing of everything you've discussed in writing.
Yeah.
And there should be no surprises.
We had Judah from Black White Media come on as a second guest for the relaunch, and he actually mentioned that upping his proposal game was the thing that made the biggest difference for his business. He said as soon as he just focused on that and made some really solid proposals, it just he started closing down much way more projects than before. And it's something that we've started to notice too, because our proposals are good. They're never perfect, right? But that's one thing we're really going to focus on this year, is really just upping the quality of them. And it's I think one thing we probably didn't do a lot in the past is try to see it through like the client's eyes.
Yeah.
Like if they're looking at this, what would they want to like see, and what do they need to understand, right? Because Kyrill said something interesting the other month about that, about how the proposals really need to be able to convey your pitch really well, because essentially they're just going to pass that on to their superiors, right? Because they're not going to be able to sell you as well as, because again, once you're dealing with a client, they still need to go to their upper level management and sell you to them, right? And they can't do it by word of mouth or through like the emails as well as you could do it. So you kind of need to use your proposal so that they could just fire it up the pipeline and hopefully it gets you through.
That was a wild revelation. That was such a wild revelation. When I thought about it, it's like, because it's almost like a game of broken telephone almost, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like say Chris, like you're pitching to the contact at this one company, you give the best pitch of your life, and they might remember 3 key details or like talking points, or like, but they won't be able to convey your energy and passion, you know, for like maybe the brief or the idea that you had, because the idea could be great, you know, but it's only great because you were the one behind that idea pushing it, right? Whereas they take that, they go to their higher ups, it's like, so this is the project, this is the idea, and then this is the budget, and then the higher up might be like, oh, I don't like the budget, you know, let's move on to something else. It's just like,
absolutely,
it's crazy how, like, I think people don't realize that is like in business, broken telephone is a real problem.
Yeah, 100%. And so I think we started doing this a couple of years ago, but the very first thing we put in all of our proposals is like, the first thing is challenge. What is their challenge, right? What exactly do they need to solve? And maybe it's a few things. It needs to be, you know, we need to tell this story. We need to deliver these messages, and, you know, the experience needs to be seamless and white glove. And then the next block is like solution, how we're going to solve that problem. One thing though, and again, though, you got to have resources to be able to do this, or time, but we now will no longer send proposals just to somebody's inbox. They have to be presented to at least that gatekeeper, but ideally the decision maker. And you're going to get a lot more like, sorry, no, like not interested, just send us the proposal. But we've really kind of held our ground on that. And it's been really effective, because then, you know, when you're taking whomever through that proposal, you're kind of answering all of their questions. You're basically showing them that we've considered everything, and that it's like their project is handled. And I think if you're dealing with a gatekeeper that's taking it to somebody higher up, a decision maker, in a lot of cases, if it's a big project, they'll feel like their job or their their image is on the line. So they want to make sure that you have it handled so that they can present you to, you know, whomever.
Wait. So how do you deal with that? So do you have like the proposal presentation with them, and then after that you have it with their gatekeeper as well, or?
So we try to not we try to only have so we'll have a briefing first. So usually it's the gatekeeper. Okay, what exactly do you need? Asking a lot of questions. Okay, great. Here's what I heard you say. This is what you need. This is when you need it. This is approximately your budget. Then we prepare a proposal, and then we try to set up a second meeting with that person and the decision maker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so, I see.
Yeah, we really try to get the decision maker on the line. And the way we sort of, you know, sell that through is, you know, this is obviously an important project. We just want to make sure that we understand all of your needs, because, you know, your boss might have different needs or expectations or challenges, or know something about this project that you may not. And so that'll allow us to then sort of really hear them out. And it honestly leads to better work. Like when everybody, you know, I used to sort of make too many assumptions about things, and now don't make assumptions anymore. We need to like do a lot of fact finding and get to the bottom of what they expect.
Yeah, you're becoming more of a consultant almost, right? You're saying you're going through their business problems on a way deeper level and trying to get to the root cause, right? And then trying to find the solution to that. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Like video is the medium of how we solve those problems. And the beauty is that we can solve problems at scale, right? So if it's a, if it's a sales video, now this video becomes a salesperson for their brand, works 24/7. It doesn't take sick days. It doesn't make a commission. It's one of the most valuable pieces of content that their business may ever create. And so
I think sometimes they don't realize how much of an investment some video is, at least earlier
they
on.
They don't see it as an investment at all, though.
That's the thing.
I've noticed.
Like, not all the time. Some do, but not everyone does. And that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's why you want to get the decision makers on, especially if they're in a C-level position. Those people tend to be growth minded. So at that level, they're not focused on like completing tasks. They're focused on achieving goals. And so if they're more growth minded, they can understand now where the investment comes in and what's my ROI. So yeah, you just got to get past those gatekeepers to get to those decision makers, which, I still don't have, the answer to that every time. It's sort of, it's touch and go, but hopefully you get them on the horn and sort things out.
See,
I've actually started referring to, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kyrill.
Yeah, there's just one last point to this is like sometimes the problem is so much it's like you don't realize which gatekeeper you're with at the moment. Sometimes you're at the first gatekeeper, multiple. Then there's a second, and then a third, and then a fourth. So it's sometimes.
How do you deal with it in that situation when there's like more than one person that's gatekeeping it? What do you do then?
Yeah, good question.
Broken telephone.
It is a lot of broken telephone. I mean, we'll still try to get everybody on board, or we'll say, listen, until everybody can get on the same page, it's not useful for anybody's time. Because like we've been burned by that a lot of times where we've gone up the chain and we think like and at this point you've spent on something like that, days, if not weeks on a proposal. And you get to the final boss and game over, right? It's sort of like, oh no, or this project is not happening, or it's on hold, or
on hold.
We've gone that one.
That one is my favorite one. It's like, let's circle back on this in a few months' time, and then that's it.
For sure. But adding our account manager, Samantha, she's really good at getting to the bottom of it and letting the gatekeeper know that, saying, listen, we're not going to present a proposal until we can actually speak to someone, because we don't want to waste your time, but we also don't want to waste our time.
Yeah, I like that a lot, because you're essentially just vetting them, right? One thing we started to notice is that after we started implementing all the SEO groundwork and all the Google AdWords, we started to get more leads flowing in, which was really cool at first, because I think it started early July. I was like, Kyrill, we're getting like consistently, like it was like 3 a week then, but it was
we were getting.
I was like, that's not bad. Yeah, it wasn't bad, right? And it started to build up to more. And then I remember back in November, I just sat down and I made an Excel file and I listed all the people that reached out.
Yeah.
And then I realized, wait, a lot of this was just like garbage leads that were coming in, right? Yeah. So like what we did after that, because I was like, okay, we're getting people like submitting and clicking on our ads, but it's like it's junk, right?
So not quality leads.
It's not quality leads. Yeah. So then after that, we started implementing some other things to vet them, right? So on our website, we for example, for the budget, before we had don't know as an option, and then we're like, wait a minute, let's just get rid of that entirely. Yeah. You need to know how much money you have for this thing, so we set it at a certain amount from that. And then this year we raised it because we're like, people we were getting, it's like, look, you want like $10,000 worth of work, for like 3, that's not gonna happen. It's like that picture of the horse where you start off really well. And then
before we move forward though, I just want to quickly ask Chris, what is probably one of the most standout kind of leads that came in that didn't pan out, but I'm just, because we all have funny
your funniest or strangest one?
Yeah,
that didn't pan out. Well, I've made this mistake so many times, and I still make it, where a lead will come in and I'll get really excited about, like, I'll have a big idea, and instead of just making a proposal, and I've done this up until a few months ago, I've actually written out and storyboarded full campaigns at like the proposal stage.
oh no.
Yeah, like full blown. And I would say more often than not, it hasn't worked out in our favor. They either didn't do the project or they went with somebody else, either less expensive or whatever. But I also think too, like subconsciously, they've got to be thinking like, wow, like even if the idea was amazing, they've got to be thinking, wow, like these guys did all of this work for free. Do they not, like, it? If they've done it for free, it doesn't have value.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And no, so, yeah, there was one, it was for a company that makes satellites. And so I had this like sort of brain flash moment where I was like, I won't say the idea because I still want to make it for somebody else, but this great idea. I wrote the whole script, I storyboarded the whole thing, and I even presented it to music so that they could like get the feeling of it. And they went another direction. That one still stings me to this day, for sure. But
you know what you did? You were the peacock that showed all the feathers, and they were not interested at that moment.
I know.
No, you know what it's like in those romance movies where the protagonist like professes his love and everything, and it's all majestic, and the girl's like, yeah, I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was right there.
Yeah. And at that point I got too into the idea and didn't ask those tough questions, which were like, if I present you something at this budget, is that an automatic no? Right? Things like that.
You have a boyfriend.
So, yeah.
You forgot to ask the most basic one.
I know. And so, yeah, and that's why like it's been so important to add people to our team that that won't allow that to happen anymore. And so, yeah, no creative work until we're doing business together, right?
Exactly. We have two funny stories.
We have two funny stories. Kyrill, tell them the soccer guy that called you. Because you had the funniest response to that guy. The funniest, most unintentional response to that guy.
It was such an innocent thing though, because it's a guy who didn't really know, but he basically was calling and asking for like a videographer to come in to like film a soccer game, right? And the funny thing is though, like a lot of these leads, they don't introduce themselves. That's the one thing that kept throwing me off sometimes, where I'm like, hi, it's Kyrill, it's Kyrill on the phone. Like, who am I talking to? And then it would just go off. And then like after like a minute, I'd be like, sorry, what's your name?
Yeah.
But anyway, on this call, he was telling me like what he needed. And I asked him like what the budget is. It's like, oh, like, I think we could probably pay like $50 or $60 or something like that.
$50 or $60?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you probably best bet is to find a student like at Ryerson. They're like, you go to Ryerson? He's like, yeah. It's like, okay, go to the film program and talk to the student.
I was just listening to him. It wasn't on speaker, so I just heard this. Yeah, you should probably just go find a student. Maybe they might do it. It just sounded so funny from my end.
For sure. And you know what? Like we get those all the time as well. And we'll if the lead looks like at least okay, we'll set up a call. And then if we're not a good fit, we'll tell them immediately.
Exactly.
But we'll still try and still try to provide some value for them, where you can find a solution or what I would do, or, you know, refer the project to someone else, you know, stuff like that. Right.
That's exactly where I was going with that call. It's like, you know, like immediately I wanted to figure out like if this was something we can help him with. And when he told me what he had to work with, you know, I'm like, just go find a student. That is probably your best bet in finding some, like, because you could get the luck of the draw. Sometimes, you know, those beginners, they can do some great work, you know, like that. I mean, we all started from zero, right?
100%. Yeah, that was us many moons ago, right? We were the ones. I mean, the first project I ever did was like $200, and
it's better than what I did.
I rented a camera and it cost me $250 to rent, right? So I was like losing money on the thing, but I was so excited to have somebody pay me to do a video. I was like, I'm doing this thing. I'm gonna rent a good camera. I'm gonna get some lights. It was, you know, I'm gonna drive 2.5 hours to this location, and you know.
Meanwhile, only had money for the camera, not the lights.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember the first 1,000 that I got from a video project. I felt like I hit a cheat code by doing this. It's like, I'm actually getting paid for this, and while I was still in school too. That was the crazy thing, and I'm like, wow. So I guess
meanwhile, there was like governments like, we're getting paid for this.
Weird.
There's another. Okay, so that was a funny story we had. We had a weird one come in just this week, actually.
I was about to mention now.
So someone reached out to us. Actually, another thing I also added to our contact form is also the industry, because I actually, like, a lot of people reach out, and sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly which industry they're a part of. So I was like, you know what, this is a mandatory question, you got to answer it, you know. So I see it and it's like, okay, retired, so okay, weird. Like, it's a guy's personal email and whatnot, and he wants us to film like invasive thoracic cancer operation. He's like, I have to get permission from my doctor to be able, so we can film it. It's 12 hours, budget's like $5K. And I was like, this is the weirdest one we've got in. Like,
so there's an update.
He wanted you to film his surgery.
Yeah, he's
his
getting
throat surgery. He wants us to film it for 12 hours. And I was like, first of all, I can't do medical gore. So I was like, Kyrill, I'm out right away.
Yeah.
Second of all, 12 hours. Like, can we even bring the camera in there?
You actually are not allowed for this. I actually asked my girlfriend who works in a hospital, and because she used to have to do this at one of the other hospitals she worked at, and she said that there's so much red tape that you'd have to go through to do it. And like she was saying, when she had to film stuff, like she couldn't be in the room. She had to like be in full how do you say, like
the hazmat
suit.
Yeah, scrubs and everything, you know, like everything's sanitized, and then you just have to set it up there and then just like work and operate everything remotely. And she was filming an eye surgery, and she described it as just, you know, needles poking out of jelly.
It's awful, bro. Jesus Christ.
I know.
I'm out of that one too. Yeah.
No.
That and
No
heights. I'm not a
interest in
heights
that.
guy either, so I don't like.
Oh, really?
That. Yeah.
So you never gone like skydiving?
Never been skydiving. Never been.
You got to bring him, Kyrill.
Oh yeah,
we getting up on a step ladder makes me like hanging Christmas lights. I've got a freaking bungalow here, right? So even hanging Christmas lights on our gutter was nerve-wracking for me.
See, he wanted to get a 1-floor house. He couldn't handle the height from 2 floors.
For sure. Well, one of my first jobs back in this would have been university, was College Pro house painting, and we would have those like walkout backyards. So it's a 2-story house, but when you're painting the back of the house, it's like a 3-story house because it's a dugout basement.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're painting you know, like gutters 30 feet up, and I did that for one summer, and
that's where the vertigo came from, huh?
I think so. Yeah.
You looked down one too many times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, feet on the ground. Better.
Yeah. We did skydiving once. We just did it with another friend of ours, just to kind of
we've yet to edit the video for it. We're supposed to edit the video for it. We still haven't done it. Our friend still asks us every 6 months, like, so where the hell's the video? Like,
we tell him next week. We keep telling him next week.
For the last 5 years.
Exactly. Time, right? I mean, I have so many like behind the scenes little films I've wanted to make, and like social content, like that's the one thing I'm hoping we can improve this year is our social.
Same.
We're so busy doing stuff for other companies that we dug into our own. We'll post like once a month on Instagram or something. We've never posted.
We're in the same boat. We got to up our game.
Because the problem is that we all have these plans, even if we have it planned out where it's like, okay, we'll post on this day, and this day. So you're going to do it. Then all of a sudden the client is like, hey, let's hop on a call to talk about things. Then another call comes in, and another call comes in. Then you have a shoot on a certain day. Then before you know it, 2 weeks have passed and you haven't posted anything.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you've missed like 6 meals and you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't miss the meals.
Okay. Priorities first, right?
Yeah. Priorities always first. Make sure we get fed. He always makes sure we get fed.
Yeah. We had a pretty big shoot yesterday. And so we had pre-ordered all of our food for lunch, and I think there would have been like around 20 people on set. And so lunch was scheduled for 1, and we get a notification at 12:30 that our order had been canceled. And we were half an hour from lunch, all these people, everybody's really hungry because we started at 7 a.m. And so we had to do the pizza pivot and just bring in a bunch of pies, and everybody was
the best though, man. When you're hungry, like pizza just tastes amazing.
It is the default. It is the savior of all saviors on sets.
Absolutely. Get it in fast and get a lot of it.
Yeah, so get all those carbs in so that you're nice and stuffed.
Yeah. You can have a nice afternoon nap, basically.
Oh, so last month in January was ironically the most busy we've ever been, where we were filming almost every day from January 10th all the way until February 1st, which was a first for us.
That's great, guys.
Yeah. And one hilarious challenge that kind of we started running into, because it was only Dario and I on set for those days from the crew side, we had obviously talent and the client there, but was going to get food because we were in Dundas Square and
Young and Dundas.
Okay, yeah. So let's pick out like one spot that we'll just like go grab lunch from. And then the first few days, it was amazing. this one sushi burrito spot. And then after the first week, the second week is like, oh, this is starting to get a little bit repetitive.
Oh, I thought you were gonna tell them the homeless people almost attacking us story.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a story for another day, but like we don't need to go on that tangent.
Yeah. Right now. Well, that's great though. I mean, it sounds like you guys are super busy. That's great.
Yeah. Chris, I wanted to go back a little bit and talk about when you were doing remote shoots. I'm wondering, are you still doing anything, or maybe you're capturing remote footage of like talent? Like, so for example, back in 2021 we did like quite a few videos where like we recorded them on Zoom. Like, I'm wondering if are you still seeing more of that now, or is it just died down completely?
Yeah, so like remote capture like this. Less of it for sure. But we still do have a few things on the go. We use Riverside, which is like a Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We like it because it actually captures natively to whatever device the subject's on, and then uploads it to the cloud. So you get better audio, you get better picture.
Right.
And it's a nice, easy to use platform. So
how's it? Is it working well for you? Because we were actually for the podcast, we were thinking about either using Riverside FM or remotely something. But I was looking into it, and a lot of people were saying it'll work amazingly well 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
So that's the part that scared me a lot, is that those 2 out of 10 times, for a guest, 20%. I'd hate to have to repeat like a conversation, because it won't be the same. And I can only imagine if you're doing this with like a client, I don't even want to have that type of conversation where we go like, look, there was a screw up, we have to redo it, because then we'd have to do it at cost. And then also just like, it would be so bad, like for our image, right?
Yeah, there is a little bit of risk of that. Like, we haven't had anything fail completely, but we've had people with like bad internet connections where it took us like 3-4 days to get their files eventually.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Like, those are really nerve-wracking days, because we have nothing, right? Because it uploads the whole thing once
Does it do it automatically? Like as soon as it's done, it automatically starts doing it, or they have to upload it manually?
No, it automatically does it, but and most of the time it's like by the time you stop recording, it's at like 98%. Then it's done in like 30 seconds. But
oh, really?
You can tell which ones are going to be trouble because you're like 20, 30 minutes in and it's at like 20%. You're like, oh no, here we go again.
This is like rendering. Like for like like the old days when you'd have to render for like an hour, and then that it's like it's like 97% for like an extra 15 minutes, and then it gets to 100%, but it still doesn't close.
For sure. Yeah, and it's nerve-wracking because in this one case, it was a testimonial for a client, and they had to jump through all sorts of hoops to get this person to agree and then schedule it, and then yeah, it was a nerve-wracking couple of days where he's like, where are the files? We're like, we're trying. We did eventually get them, but yeah. So, to answer your question, yes, we're still doing some of those, but less and less. People are starting to get comfortable with in-person stuff again.
Yeah, we had like one lead right now who was like asking about, hiring local crews all throughout the US to film interviews. But I think once they saw the price tag of what that would cost, they were like, oh, why don't we just do it all remotely on Zoom? It's like, okay, yeah, no worries. So
yeah, but there's also an opportunity cost to these remote things where like, so I'll do most of the interviews, for example, and then we'll have like a producer running the sort of call. And then in some cases, I'll have an editor observing, like one of our editors, just so that they can make selects as we go, so we can turn it around.
Oh, really?
That's a good one, actually.
But then next thing you know, you've had 3 people burn the better part of a day for, something that would be a fraction of an in-person shoot. And then your email, your inbox is piling up, and others, the opportunity cost is real.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that interview time that you would take maybe like an hour to conduct the interview on Zoom, 30 minutes setup, 30 minutes post or whatever. At the most, it'll probably be like 2 hours, but you can't really book a full day shoot on that day, right? Yeah. So that is, like you said, that's the big opportunity cost. It's like, that's why like we've tried to kind of schedule more people on the same day for that. But unfortunately, everyone has different schedules. So like you had to try to like be accommodating, especially if you're interviewing people all over the US, you're dealing with different time zones, yada, yada, yada. It's a whole mess in that sense too.
Yeah. Well, we have found some success in that we'll set the client up for success, where we'll do the first video or first few, establish look and feel, establish sort of like a process, and then teach them how to recreate that. So we'll sort of create a branding package for them, and we'll do the first video, and then we'll just give them everything they need to continue on, because they find a lot of, if they have internal people that can handle something like that, like this, simple edits, throw this animated logo on, throw these lower thirds on, things like that. That's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I guess it depends. It depends on the organization too, in terms of what resources they have. But yeah, it's definitely like type of content that at the end of the day, a lot of people can do it themselves if they have people willing to learn and do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's sort of like teach a man to fish and they will eat for a lifetime, right? So
right.
You're taking work out of your own schedule, but at the end of the day, it's what's best for them, what's easiest for them, that sort of stuff.
I want to go back as well to the fact that you've grown your team. How much do you think that's helped you increase your output just by being able to do that? Like, do you find that you're able to take on like 100% more work, or like how big of a difference has it made? Or has it just been that now you can like relax a little bit, you're not stretched too thin?
I mean, I was hoping I was going to relax more. It's more because now I've got, more people to have daily meetings with and more projects on the go, but it definitely has increased our output. The biggest thing is that, again, like filling up our pipeline and booking future projects doesn't doesn't wait until we're done one project now. So we're kind of filling up the pipeline as we're working on stuff. So that's added quite a lot of capacity. And, you know, our account manager has tons of production experience as well. So they've also been able to help out with, like, you know, producing projects. So, you know, helping us crew things up or cast, or, you know, just client relationships. And we've had a crazy first start of the year. Just like we're constantly, we have some stuff booked out until October, November so far this year, and we're fully booked until May at this point. So
wow,
yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah, it's more hours per week, I think, for all of us, but everybody at that level is incentivized by our success as well. So the more work we do, the more remunerated everybody's going to be. And so that's kept people pretty excited about keeping our pipeline full. And it's nice, you know, it's great. Everybody is excited to win projects now, instead of like, oh man, now we have to do this. It's like, we get to do this.
Yeah, no, that's great. We're happy to hear that you guys are doing so well like that, and congrats, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for sure. And same to you guys as well. Yeah, it sounds like you guys are killing it, and you guys are so much ahead of where I was at your stage, and it's great to see you guys are really smart and doing it right. So proud of you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're just trying to learn as much as we can. That's why we like talking to different business owners, just seeing their journey, what they went through. It's been helping us a lot. But I feel like we could definitely always be doing more.
There's always,
feel like sometimes we slack off a little bit, but you know, at the end of the day, still better than where we were yesterday, so it's still good.
And it's tough too, like as creatives, some of those like logistics things come secondary, where we just really want to do something cool or think about something fun and put the admin stuff off. But I made this mistake like years ago, where we're having a really good year, and then I took my foot off the gas, and you know, our SEO suffered, our search suffered, our social suffered, and I promised myself that I would never do that again. And so for the most part, we've been able to, you know, do what needs to be done, not everything that I'd like to be done, but you know, that's any business, right? You're right. We could always be doing more, but that's a great sign that you're thinking that way, because it shows you're looking to grow and do more and do better.
Yeah. We have a lot of stuff planned this year. Like for the SEO front, we are going to be focusing on writing a lot more blog articles, because I find that actually helped us out a lot. Yeah. And then we're also creating like vlog content to accompany those blog articles, and that's actually been really helpful for us too. So like if we have like a how is a video made blog article, for example, we'll just make its video version as well.
Yeah,
that's been like really good for getting us comfortable in front of the camera, because we're actually in the process of redoing the earlier ones we did, because upped our production quality on those. And also, I think we did it at a time where the barbers were still closed. So.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but I had super long hair back last year, and I think it was like by November or so, it was like time where I'm like, okay, I think it's time to just get rid of it.
You're right about the blogs, though. I mean, I don't want to reveal too many of our secrets, but we've written a couple of blog posts that I never really gave much of a thought to. I was like, oh, that's a fun idea. And this shoot that we did the last few days, I'm pretty sure it was a result of one of these strange blog posts where I believe the topic was, here are the best, like the best dog commercials from the last decades. And so kind of recapping from, I think it was from like 2000 to 2021. And it was, you know, just a whole collection, really well written for, you know, for dog lovers, people that want to watch cute dog commercials. But it was, you know, I think it was 1,500 to 2,000 words, lots of great embedded video, lots of nice photos. And it started ranking, I believe at one point it was the #1 result for people searching for best dog commercials or dog commercials. And which most of those people, they just want to see dog commercials, but 1 out of 100 may actually say, hey, we need a production company to shoot something with a dog in it. And so that's what our shoot was the last few days. And I believe it was a direct result of that single blog post. So the ROI on that, I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Because that article essentially positions you as an expert kind of, how do you say it? An expert viewer on the content that is out there as well, where you're basically saying, this is what is out there. These are the ones that we as a company find are the best ones because of this, and this reason. This one's good because of this, and this reason. And so that actually just, even though the work is not necessarily yours,
but some of it was like we threw one of ours in there as
okay. So at least nice. there's that, right? So you're at least part of it, but it's also, as a result, you're basically putting yourself at the same level as all the other great ones out there as well. And, it also kind of shows in a way your taste of what you think is good work. And that's what people will recognize, like you said, most people are just looking for the content, but you're looking for that 1 in 100. That's who you need, because that 1 in 100 could be a long-term client.
Could be freaking Spotify, could be anybody, right?
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
We actually got some leads that came in, and I when I asked them which keywords they searched, that's actually one thing we started doing on our initial lead calls. Cool. Yeah, because I was like, I've always been curious. It's like, how did they even find us, right? And once half the time they tell me the words, I was like, Jesus Christ, how did you even come up with that? Like, it's like the most random. Like, how did you find us with those keywords, right? Like, there's some really weird ones. I should actually make a list of them all. But some of them I was like, oh, okay, I've written a blog article that was similar to that. And then when I asked them where we were on because I also asked them where we were on the page, it'll be like 1 to 3 or 4. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Like, I didn't expect that blog article to kind of lead into that. But the blog articles, the funny thing I found is that when I'm researching, I actually haven't written one since June, but we have several we're working on right now. The things I was noticing when I was like trying to like research, like, for example, like one of them that we have up is like, what is a promotional video, for example, right? So you just kind of Google that and then you see what other people wrote. And I would start to notice that everyone was kind of copying each other. It was so interesting. I was like, wait a minute, I've read that.
Well, promotional video is this. It's the type of video that's promotional in nature, made by video.
I love that.
The funniest thing is that it was just, like some people legit just copied other people's blog posts to make their own blog posts. And I don't think they realized that like it's not going to help them in the long run, because Google just like suppresses that. They see who published it first and then just push you down instead of the other way around. So, but it was just really funny when I was trying to see that.
SEO it's like a lot of fun because you get like these like measurable results and kind of seeing what's working, what's not. How did this site outrank me for this? Like, what are they doing? It's a new website. Like, what's going on? Are they being nefarious in their approach?
There's one website which we shall not name.
That's it.
That is like up there on the first page of Video Production Toronto, and
they are slipping though. I have noticed that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because in fact, funny story. I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same folks. We got a lead in our contact form from this company, but it was like I knew it was from them, and so they were asking us to price this job out, and we're like, no, we need to have a call, and they refused to have a call, and it was just kind of funny to see that.
All. Wait, how did you know it was them?
The one testimonial they had on their site was this person reaching out for a quote. So, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Wait, are we talking about the one that has like no content?
Yeah.
That one. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
they're
just,
fishing.
I figured.
They're fishing.
I actually looked into them,
I don't
and
blame
I found.
them. I mean, good on them for sure.
I looked into them. So if you search their contact info, it leads to like some SEO website or some marketing website. They're super sketch. Like, I'm actually curious if anyone actually reaches out to them, because they have like no video. It's just a bunch of words on their site. I don't get it. Like, who's actually like getting in touch with them?
Well, think about it like this. There have been people that have reached out to us, Dario, where I've asked them, like, have you had a chance to look at anything on our website? They literally haven't seen anything. They go straight to the contact form. I've had that happen many times.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's crazy how many times we've had a call with a potential lead, and we're saying, okay, so like anything on our portfolio that you really like, that like kind of
exactly. Yeah.
And they're like, no, we haven't seen anything. It's like,
come on.
So how did you get in? Like, why are you in touch? Like,
I know,
you know
right?
why? Because it's not their money. That's why.
It's true.
Yeah. It's not their money. They don't care. But
they're
it's
just looking
weird,
for an
man.
option.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the second it's their money, that's when the scrimping and saving starts to come through. You know, the second someone's wallet is open, that's when it's like, hold on, let me count every dollar that comes out.
It's true. So what have you guys worked on in the last year that you're like most proud of? Any sort of projects that come to mind in terms of, hey, I can't believe we pulled that off, or I can't believe we made this, or, you know, anything like that?
I would say last year, we actually early on in the year, I think it was like in February or March, we finally got to cross the item off the bucket list of doing a project with a Ferrari. We just wanted. I keep forgetting that was early last year, because it seems like it was
what is it called? The 488 Evo? Is that the one?
I don't remember the exact number, model, or whatever, but it was it was like a supercar.
It was awesome.
It was like one of those Ferrari supercars that we were doing for like this workshop video with the wind tunnel. And we just thought, okay, perfect. Finally, we get to cross this off of our bucket list, you know, because we've been wanting to do that for a while. And it was just nice to kind of like get that, you know, out of the way. So it's like, okay, next time we do a Ferrari project, okay, it's another cool project to do, whatever, no big deal. But that was probably the first cool project that we worked on last year.
Nice.
Yeah, and we did like a pretty big one for that, because it was like a full-on like lesson they were doing. This was for Ace Wind Tunnel in participation with Ontario Tech University. So it was like a full like course that they did on it. It was like 30 minutes long.
It was a workshop.
It was a workshop. That's right. Yeah.
It was and
it was awesome, man. That car is beautiful. And that red, no matter how many pictures we took of it, it just doesn't capture it like what it is in real life. It's just it's a nice car.
I just wish they fired it up in the wind tunnel. They couldn't do that. That was the only thing. That was the only thing that we couldn't do while we were there, which was like fire it up, because they were just trying to show how wind passes through these cars and how it like, you know, kind of like goes through all the aerodynamics. And that's what the focus was more so of. So that's why they didn't optimize.
I think they have I think it's in the video on our homepage now.
Yeah. It's
there, right?
There. Yeah, we could send it to you if you want to take a look at it later. It was a fun one.
That's cool. Yeah. So working with supercars, no big deal, you know?
Yeah, no big deal, right? Whatever.
What about you?
Yeah.
I feel like this Mexico one we pulled off like was a big accomplishment, because it was on and then it was off, and then it was on, but then we only had 10 days to put it together. And like it fully confirmed that having the expanded, this would not have happened without those extra team members. And it just made me like really, really proud to have people, you know, putting these things together, and really grateful for a great team. And just to travel with that many people with that much stuff in the climate that we're in. And that was a big accomplishment. And we shot it was some like sort of luxury lifestyle content. So we spent a couple of days in a $25 million house on the ocean, and then also a bit of a mega yacht.
Wow! Oh my God! What was it? What was the product? It was a luxury, you said, right?
Yeah. So the clients, Engel and Volkers, they're a luxury real estate brand, and so we do all of their North American work. And we told most of their story in and around the GTA. So within like 3 hours of Toronto, we shot a bunch of stuff last year, and we needed to have like a beach episode. These are like little vignettes of people just living luxurious moments. And so we're like, we've got to go somewhere where there's a beach. And one of the people
we need a mega yacht too while we're
they
at it.
can't do Woodbine Beach. You couldn't do Woodbine Beach or the Bluff.
That's what I said. You know, in the summer, there's a couple places in like Niagara region that actually can play as Caribbean, but
really,
yeah, like I want to say Crystal Beach looks kind of, you can cheat it as sort of like a, you know, a Caribbean type destination if you find the right house. But yeah, this shoot was really cool just to see how people like that live. And it was the owner of the house as our subject, but then they brought their friends in to sort of fill out a dinner party scene. And
oh wow,
it was like the 0.1% at there's so many levels that I understood, you know, even this person with this huge mansion, you know, they weren't the richest person in that room by far.
Oh
so it was
God.
really
wow.
interesting.
Okay.
Imagine being part of that friend group.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I certainly did not fit in. I was wearing a bathing suit that day. So, you know.
Well, you know, you could have pretended to be the most richest person in there, because it's like when you're that level of rich, you don't care. Like, look at Steve Jobs. He just went around with the same clothes all the time.
Yeah.
Bill Gates too.
Like, guys in jeans work for guys in suits who work for guys in jeans, right?
Yes.
And it's
but
true.
What jeans? That's the key. What type of jeans?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was cool. Yeah, I was just, you know, just really proud of the team. And yeah, that was a absolute whirlwind, and came back really tired from that. But, you know, it was great.
But that was 2022. This wasn't 2021 though.
I don't think we could have pulled it off in 2021. Yeah.
Right. Because you said it was like flip-flopping, right? You guys pretty much were starting it like midway through the year or something, and then it took a while, right?
We were supposed to shoot it at the end of last year, and then, you know, just scheduling didn't work for them, and then it didn't work for us, and then we shouldn't go because you know, because there was the COVID spike, right, with Omicron, and you know, and it was a bit of a risk to bring a team down there, but, you know, we all discuss all the risks. And so what happens if somebody has to stay here for an extra 5 or 10 or however many days? What does that look like?
On the yacht? Why not? I'll take the
Absolutely.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mansion, there's got to be a quarantine room somewhere in there.
Yeah. It was funny though, the hotel we were staying at down there was the same hotel that this like large Netflix show was all staying at. And their home base was like pretty much outside of the parking lot of this hotel. And yeah, they took all of the resources that Cabo had for film and television. So
you couldn't make an appearance on Love is Blind or what is it?
This one was, I believe this was titled F Boy Island.
We already know what that show is about.
Season 2.
I know for sure our girlfriends are gonna love it. That's all I know.
Yeah. But it's a big show. I think they looked like they had a crew of like at least 100. And what was interesting though, they brought all of their extension cords in as well. There was a guy in customs the same time as us going through like the gear list, and he had a big duffel bag that he had flown in from California that was all extension cords, because the quotes we got on,
they're taking all the electricity on that island.
Oh, it was crazy. You can't get extension cords down there. Maybe we didn't look in all the right places, but that was one of the strange, quirky little things about
no local Home Depots.
Yeah, there's no Home Depot. Okay, Chris, so going forward into 2022, what do you foresee as some of the challenges you'll be facing?
I think like kind of what we've been talking about, which is finding the time to work on SVG versus like in it. So like really carving out time to work on social or blogs or team building, you know, things like that. And yeah, just like finding really good, meaningful work that like pays the bills, but stuff we get excited about, because that's what this is all about, right? You want to get excited about what you're working on, and you know, have people really proud of like the things we've made. And yeah, I think that's the key. Also throwing a party this year, that's big on my list. It's been a couple of years since we got a chance to do that. So just, getting everybody together and, telling some stories and having some laughs and having a few beverages and just, toasting everybody surviving a really strange time.
Well, chapter 2 is starting for that with the Russian war, so it'll be interesting. We're done with COVID now. There's a war.
I hope it ends soon. It's very surreal seeing that.
It is surreal, and I feel like it's a new era in Europe right now, right? It's now like the peacetime is over, at least at this moment, and it's Kyrill, totally to your point. You were saying like it's weird sitting here we are talking about all this great creative stuff, and those terrible things are happening on the other side of the world, and it's weird.
It puts things into perspective, and when things like that happen, you just kind of like reflect a little bit on, like on how things are, and makes you like grateful for, you have your health, at least, you have your family and your friends, and the people you like, the people you were close with, you gotta really be grateful for that and cherish that, because like other people they're suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you guys? What are you guys looking to work on this year, focus on?
For sure, we're gonna keep focusing on our SEO and marketing. So again, we kind of left it on the waste. I think we haven't done proper SEO stuff since we set it up. We started doing it like January to June, and then we kind of got a little lazy on that front, but
a little bit here and there.
Strangely, it kept reaping the rewards. Like it actually like kept escalating without us even doing anything.
That's the beauty
the
of
stuff
SEO,
right?
Like
the stuff we had on there.
It really compounds with time, and when people continue to find stuff and backlink to it, it increases your rank. All that beautiful.
Yeah, like we're consistently getting 15 to 20 like homepage clicks a day, which is interesting. Like Monday to Fridays. I noticed Saturdays and Sundays it dips down. It's interesting though, because you could see everything on Google Analytics, right?
Yeah.
But this year we're really planning on doubling down on that and being, again, more consistent with it. So yeah, like I think in terms of technical SEO, we've done everything we needed to do. We're just going to be focusing more on creating more blog content, because I feel like that's pretty, like after a certain point, that's all you really should be doing. And then again, just adding the video vlogs in accordance to them as well. Like, so for each one, they're going to have their own vlog. Then also being more active on social. What else, Kyrill?
Yeah, also like to what you were saying, Chris, like trying to find those projects and work, that, is a little bit more like kind of like meaningful or like exciting type work. Obviously we have to do work that pays the bills, but at the end of the day, we jumped into this industry to create a story or to tell good stories, and just like create work that we're really proud of, and like every now and then we get to do that, which is great. But it's trying to find more and more of that. That's the goal.
For sure. And even in the seemingly non-creative projects, you can find all sorts of things to get excited about, right? Whether it's something technical or using a new piece of equipment, or turning something that's seemingly not that exciting into something that gives them a lot of value. And that like always get something going with each project, something to get excited about.
I think we need to think small. I think we need to maybe like visualize the kind of products we want to do, because I noticed anytime like I've done that for our business, like it's not to sound like a mystic or whatever, but it kind of has happened. Like I like to visualize like where I want our company to be or where I want myself to be, and it kind of does happen because I start to set those things in motion. So I think we need to maybe think about like exactly the type of projects we want to do. And I'm noticed another thing too is that we're doing we're going to be bringing on a lot more people to the podcast. So, and we are looking at international companies too. And I'm starting to notice as I look at more and more companies' reels and everything, there's a lot of cool projects that I want us to be doing as well. And I think we just need to focus a bit more on that, because we have been focusing a little
too much
on the administrative side of things.
Yeah, like we've been like essentially the last 2 years, we focused a lot on the foundation of Lapse and like setting it up for future growth, which is good. And we're definitely now on the way to that. But now it's time to go back to where we want to be and start doing more of these like creative projects. Like I've built a library of like so many great projects that I've seen over the years. And it's just like, wow, there's really inspiring stuff out there. You know, like how can we find other projects like these, you know, or like opportunities to tell stories like that, because, you know, those are very important stories too, right?
For sure. And like I watch a lot of like creators on YouTube, and like Daniel Schiffer, for example, a guy out of Toronto. He does these unbelievable, you know, product marketing videos where he'll just find like something in his cabinet and make a really cool product video. And he's even done ones where he's like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I've got expensive equipment and knowledge and, you know, resources. What if I just took, you know, this product and made it on Canva, something that anybody can use, sort of like a really easy, you know, design platform. And I get inspired by that. It's, you know, stuff you can do with almost nothing and almost no skill set. And that stuff's really cool.
Yeah, that's one thing we want to start doing more as well. Like, I actually had this idea where we could, I want us to just make spec spots for companies or products or services that don't really exist. Like they could exist, but that particular brand doesn't. We'll just make it up.
Yeah,
we'll make up its own like slogans or taglines. And the cool thing is that my girlfriend's a graphic designer, so I could just get her to like create the logo for us.
Yeah,
then we'll just pretend it's Starbucks. An actual thing. Yeah.
Instead of Pepsi, it's Popsy. You know, Starbucks is Starbucks.
I actually had a really funny one for a coffee shop. Like we'll actually make it. It's really easy to do, and I had like a really funny like tagline for it. But yeah, that's another thing we want to do as well. More creative stuff.
Okay. Yeah, actually, you know, that project we've been working on for England Volkers. So I talked about pitching creative, how that's like a no-no, but it has worked out because I remember we pitched that in 2020, and I did the whole thing where I pitched them the full creative with storyboards and music, and we ended up winning that against mostly US agencies. And the tagline I came up with was "Live Your Luxury," and now they've since trademarked that and they're using it globally.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Nice.
It's cool to see, you know, see that out in the wild. And so, you know, the passion and the idea paid off on that one, but we had the right people in the room who were the growth-minded decision makers. And, you know, that was huge. Actually, this thing we're doing in Vegas next week, they've invited me to be a keynote speaker at their big sort of yearly event. So I'm sweating because it's
oh my God.
People. I haven't done a presentation without track pants on in a very long time. And but so the topic I've chosen is like sell with story. And I came across this really interesting story that I think you guys would appreciate. Have you heard of the Significant Objects Project?
No.
No.
Okay, so let me just find the name of this guy. So 1 second here. Where is it? Here we go. So these two guys, Rob Walker and Joshua Glenn, they're sort of social scientists. And was it 2009? I believe it was in 2009. They wanted to put to the test, can you actually sell more with story? You know, everybody talks about the power of storytelling and you need to tell better stories. And it releases cortisol and other things into the brain, and so it impacts humans. But they said, can we quantify this? So what they did is they went on eBay and they bought 100 items, and just trinkets, right? So coffee cups, oven mitts, little tchotchke statues, things like that, all for, you know, on average about $1 a piece, right? They spent $125 on 100 items. And then instead of just relisting those items on eBay, what they did is they got a bunch of writers to write stories about these objects. Now, like the stories weren't, they were made up stories, but nothing talking about saying like, oh, this is a priceless oven mitt owned by, owned by the Kennedys. It was more like, this is something the last thing my aunt gave to me, or just sort of telling personal stories about these objects.
Yeah. Wow.
And so they reposted the items for sale with these stories, and the results were amazing. On average, like a shot glass they bought for $1, they sold for $76. A little horse, My Little Pony, they bought for $1, they sold for $104. And so on average, they spent $125 on these 100 items, and they sold them for $3,600. So an ROI of like, I think it's 2,800%.
That's pretty good. Wow.
Kyrill, get ready. We're going on eBay right after. Brush up on your storytelling skills.
There we go. Honestly, we have a lot of our own stuff, like instead of
this
doing
tripod,
Kijiji sells.
This tripod, Napoleon used it to take a photo.
Napoleon, right?
I just found that really interesting, right? Because
that is cool, though.
Connect to like something behind it. And I think that's, same with like NFTs. They're all just stories, right? What's the story behind this project or this team or whatever? And so I think that's like a more modern kind of version of that. But I think that's, I'm excited to tell this group of people about this significant objects project and help them maybe tell better stories to sell more real estate. So that'll be
that's really great. Awesome, man. Yeah. Like honestly, like is it like you said it's going to be in person? Are they going to have like a live showing of it or like a recording afterwards or no?
So I'm bringing a team down. We're going to record it for sure.
Oh, you got it, man. Like is it your first time?
I was going to say, can we tune in? We would love to we would love to be virtual.
I'm sure I'll be able to say, so I've got to fill, I think it's like 20 minutes, but it's in front of 1,200 people, and I'm sweating. My slides aren't quite ready yet. So
Look, you need to do a couple more of these podcasts, to get you in the swing of things.
Which date is it? When are you doing it?
Doing it on March 6th.
Okay.
So, that's
pretty soon. Yeah.
Soon. Oh, okay.
He's going to Vegas, right? He's doing it.
Okay.
There.
Well, you know what? We're actually launching this on Monday or something like that. So we'll definitely like share it on our page when you do it. Yeah, post it. We'll share it. I'm sure our listeners will like it. I mean, they're gonna be listening. They're gonna be finding out about this after it's done. But
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that'll again, like that's really testing my nerves and getting up in front of that many people and trying to deliver value to them, not just tell them what I think is interesting, but get them excited about what they just learned and maybe try to apply some of those things that we talked about. So fingers crossed.
That's honestly great to hear, man. And we look forward to like seeing like more of like the work that you do this year. And I'm sure we'll all get to grow together as well. And I think this might be like I don't know if there's anything else, Dario, on your end, but I think this might be a good kind of.
There's more, but you know what? Listen,
we'll do another episode.
Chris is a friend of the show. He's welcome back anytime, and we'll probably bring you back on in like 6 months or so, like just to see like what else has come up in that meantime, or even sooner. Like,
yeah, it'd be great. I appreciate that and appreciate you guys, and you guys are awesome. And we'll probably get together maybe for a couple of beverages before that. Who knows, right?
Of course,
the local again, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Great.
Well, guys, I really happy to catch up with you, and really glad all is well, and you guys are happy, healthy, busy. Keep it up. You guys are crushing it.
You too, man. You too. Let us know where the next destination will be after Vegas. We'll create a little map for you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Awesome. Well, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll catch up soon, and all the best.